The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever's semifinal clash with the Las Vegas Aces has reached a boiling point. And at the center of it all is head coach Stephanie White. What was supposed to be a showcase of grit, strategy, and star power has devolved into something else entirely. A series marred by phantom whistles, missed reviews, and a free throw discrepancy so glaring it can't be ignored. For Indiana, this hasn't been about playing basketball against a two-time champion. It's been about surviving the Aces and the referees who seemed determined to tilt the floor. From the moment Indiana stunned the league by stealing Game 1 in Las Vegas, the tone shifted. The Fever walked into the Aces' house and outplayed them on their own court, proving that this young team wasn't here just to participate, but to win. But instead of responding with adjustments and execution, Vegas found another advantage: whistles. And those whistles haven't stopped since. In fact, they've drowned out the very rhythm of the game. Stephanie White, a veteran of this league, someone who has seen every shade of triumph and heartbreak, wasn't about to bite her tongue. Following yet another game that felt like theft in plain sight, White didn't hold back. With frustration painted across her face, she looked into the cameras and delivered the words that shook the WNBA. "I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. You know, a -31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing. Those weren't just complaints about officiating. That was a demand for transparency, for accountability, for a full-scale investigation into the state of refereeing in the WNBA, because what White and her players have endured isn't the kind of inconsistency that every team grumbles about in passing. This is systematic. It's a pattern that has stretched across multiple games. It's tilted momentum and outright rewritten results. You could see it in Game 2 when Indiana's offense never found rhythm. Every possession seemed to end with a whistle. Every attempt to push the tempo stalled at the line. White herself admitted afterward that her team couldn't establish flow because there's a foul called every 10 seconds. Rhythm, timing, spacing, all the things basketball depends on, stripped away not by an opponent's scheme, but by referees blowing the game to pieces. By Game 3, the bias had become a wall. The defining moment came in the third quarter, when Aaliyah Boston, Indiana's anchor in the paint, was called for a questionable foul on Jackie Young. White immediately motioned for a review. The bench was prepared, fans braced themselves, and the challenge should have been acknowledged. Instead, officials turned their backs, ignoring the request entirely. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray buried a three, flipping momentum in an instant. Indiana's hard-earned lead evaporated, not because of Vegas's brilliance, because referees refused to even let the challenge be seen. Inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse, disbelief turned to fury. Fans waved their arms, screamed until voices cracked, and the sound of boos reigned over the court. Online, clips of the moment exploded, spreading across platforms with analysts and fans alike, pointing to the sequence as undeniable evidence of rigging. And those breakdowns didn't stop at one call. They revealed a montage of flops, elbows, and outright fouls from the Aces that never once drew a whistle. Asia Wilson barreling through Boston with lowered shoulders, defenders tossed to the floor, contact ignored. Meanwhile, Indiana players were punished for breathing too close to a Vegas jersey. That's when this series stopped resembling basketball and started feeling like a carefully protected storyline. The defending champions being carried propped up, shielded from the vulnerability Indiana had exposed in Game 1, and Stephanie White, staring at a -31 free throw gap, could no longer play along. Yet what makes Indiana's story compelling isn't just the injustice. It's the way this team has responded. Lesser groups would have folded under the weight of it all. They would have dropped their heads, whispered about the unfairness, and resigned themselves to fate. Not the Fever. They fought possession after possession, symbolized by one of the unlikeliest heroes of the series, Lexi Hull. Hull wasn't supposed to be playing. After aggravating her back in Game 1, she was listed as questionable, her movements stiff even during warm-ups. Fans expected minutes and moderation, a role player simply buying rest for the starters. Instead, Hull transformed herself into the beating heart of Indiana's resistance. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, a steal. She drilled 3 massive triples that tied her with a franchise playoff record. And she did it while grimacing through pain that would have sidelined most players. Every loose ball became a collision. Every rebound, a battle she refused to lose. Cameras caught her face twisted with discomfort, but she never backed down. She threw herself to the floor, boxed out stars taller and healthier, and somehow gathered the composure to knock down shots that reignited the Gainbridge crowd. Hull's courage wasn't just a performance. It was defiance, proof that this Fever team would not allow bad officiating to steal their fight. And yet, that's the tragedy. On the night Hull delivered the game of her career, the spotlight wasn't on her resilience. It was on the referees. It was on the phantom fouls, the missed challenges. It's the endless parade of free throws that buried Indiana's effort beneath controversy. Hull's heroics deserved headlines. Instead, they were overshadowed by the league's dirtiest secret. Meanwhile, on the other side, A'ja Wilson, the face of the league. The reigning MVP delivered one of the worst shooting nights of her career. 1-for-11 in the first half, 6-for-20 by the end, 13 points on 20 shots. By any standard, dreadful. By her standard, catastrophic. Wilson drifted, settled, and grew visibly rattled as Boston hounded her possession after possession. And yet Vegas still walked away winners. Not because of Wilson, but because whistles and teammates like Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray carried them across the finish line. Think about that contrast. Indiana's star defender shutting down the league's MVP, Hull playing through pain to deliver a career night, the Fever executing their game plan to perfection, and still, they lost. Not because of basketball, because of whistles. That's why White finally snapped. That's why her words carry so much weight. I think it's pretty egregious. A -31 free throw discrepancy. The disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. White's demand for an investigation is bigger than one series. It's bigger than one team. It's about the credibility of the league itself. Because without Caitlin Clark, without this Indiana Fever surge pulling new fans into arenas and onto broadcasts, the WNBA doesn't have this moment in the spotlight. And yet, instead of protecting that growth, instead of ensuring fair play, the league sits silent while its officials compromise everything the game is supposed to represent. Fans see it. Social media sees it. Analysts see it. And now, thanks to White, the league can no longer pretend otherwise. If Commissioner Kathy Engelbert ignores this demand, the message to fans is clear. Fairness is secondary. Image is everything. And integrity can be sacrificed for storyline. But if White's call sparks real change, if her demand forces transparency, then maybe this chaos will mean something more. Maybe it will be the moment the WNBA finally confronts its greatest flaw. Because at the end of the day, the Fever didn't just lose games. They had them stolen. And unless the league acts, those thefts will overshadow everything this new generation of stars has built. So what do you think? Will the WNBA finally step up and clean house? Or will they let corruption and favoritism continue to define their biggest stage? Let us know in the comments. Hit like if you stand with the Fever. And make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next. This story isn't over, and the next chapter could decide the future of the league itself.